We're going to analyze Milos Raunic's serve in slow motion to better illustrate the ideas I just mentioned. I'd like to thank Jorge Capestany for letting me use one of his slow motion videos for this analysis. Please check his YouTube channel with many more videos of pros hitting in slow motion. Let's take a look at Milos's swing path upwards so that you can see how long it actually is. This long distance of the swing allows him to build more speed by the time he hits the ball. And you can also clearly see that he's swinging upwards. Let's now try and answer the question of why you don't trust swinging up towards the ball. And I mean really swinging up as if you want to throw the racket really far and high. So I've stopped Milos at the contact point from which he now directs the ball down towards the service box. The downwards angle is not so obvious, but in the next frame it becomes more obvious that this ball is going down. The ball has already left the racket though, so it was directed down in those 5,000ths of a second when it was in contact with the racket in the previous frame. Since this video is shot at 29 frames per second, every frame I show you has a time difference of 3.5 hundredths of a second approximately. Now let's take a look at one frame before contact and see where would the ball go if Milos made contact 3.5 hundredths of a second earlier. As you can see, it would definitely go outside of the tennis court he's on. And if we go one more frame before that, which is 7 hundredths of a second before contact, then this ball would go into outer space. So let's now recap the whole serve from the deepest racket drop to just before contact. First you're swinging upwards towards the ball and generating a lot of speed going upward. And then 7 hundredths of a second before contact, it feels that the ball would go into outer space. And then 3.5 hundredths of a second, it feels it would go over the back fence on the other side of your court. And once the racket aligns properly to the ball 3.5 hundredths of a second later, the ball does actually start to go downwards. No wonder you don't trust this process, as we're not able to tell the difference of a few hundredths of a second. It is really true that just a few hundredths of a second before contact, it does feel that you're going to hit up and far over the service box. That's how challenging and demanding a proper high-level serve is. But it gets even more interesting. Milos is literally serving up, at least that's how it feels to his hand. Here's why. If we look at his hand position at contact, and even one frame after contact when the ball has left the racket, his hand is still open. He has not even reached the alignment with his forearm, not to mention actually closing his hand, which to most of us tells that we are directing the ball downwards. When he does start to close his hand down, the ball is already far away. So it is not with his hand that he directs the ball down, which is what you're probably thinking as you see so many pictures of players aiming their serve with a high elbow and the racket pointing down. So you assume that it is through this movement that you direct the ball downwards. As you can see, this move happens way after the ball has left the racket. In fact, Milos is making contact with the ball when his hand is open, which to most of us feels that the ball is going up. I rotated the video to the point where Milos' body would be upright, so that we can see how his arm and hand feel to him at contact point. So if Milos was not leaning into the court, but was standing upright, and he made contact with the ball in exactly the same way, the ball would literally very steeply go up in the sky. You can see from his open hand that he's literally hitting up on the ball, not in any way directing it down with his hand. That's how it feels to his hand, because his hand does not know that Milos' body is at an angle when he's making contact with the ball. Most of us would like to feel a closed hand when we're aware that we are directing the ball down with the racket face, but that's not how we will develop a more advanced serve, which by now we realize is even more mysterious than the fact. How does Milos send the ball down if he's swinging and literally pushing the ball up with an open hand? He does it by leaning into the court, therefore tilting his body, which consequently affects the angle of the racket. We align the racket downwards not with our hand, but with our body. To our hand and arm, it does feel that we swing up, that we will push the ball up, but that feels deceiving because the hand is not aware that its foundation, which is the body, is under the space. So what we need to do is to take a leap of faith first, toss the ball inside the ball, and simply swing up as if we really want to push up. And you will realize that hitting up, the ball does not go up and in fact does go down.